it from the professionals. Is there any relevance of this competition with our daily lives? So we will have a live show to answer those questions. And we have an expert about outdoor activities. Hello? And he will brief us about the professional competition. Now, since the game is already on, could you please tell us about the situation now? They are already starting climbing up. The quicker ones are already half on their way. Now, there will be 3 groups. This is the first group. I think they are doing perfectly. The second group is getting ready. When the time comes for their game, the second group will be reminded. Now, the group 1 is already in their position. I'm really curious about this rope. It looks like a very smooth rope. And at some point, for example, at certain heights, there may be such a knot on the rope. That knot is a test for the competitors to see their skills. There will be 4 security officers in the air who will guarantee their safety. Are those who are staying put? Yes, those are the officers. They are observing all the members. Some competitors, because of the games, may change their ropes or change from holding 2 ropes to just 1. So there are security concerns. Is this game a test of speed? So if that is the case, what is the role of the security officers? When they are competing about the speed, we are also testing their thinking skills and their reaction. When they are being trained, they might get confused in their minds because of those difficulties in climbing. So the officers will have to guarantee their security when they're not thinking clearly. For example, what types of moves could be defined as standardized moves according to the security officers? First of all, they will have to attach themselves to the rope from the back. What do you mean by back? There will be a system behind their back. Some are asab. The second group is already up. Yes, it's the team from Guizhou province. They have been trained. For those training, I'm curious to really grasp this technique. How long does it take for them to truly become a climber or a rescuer? In current circumstances, if they're very agile and flexible, it takes them like several months or half a year. And on average, I think it takes 2 to 3 years for all members to complete their training. The rope rescue is a very systematic thing. And what types of training courses will they have to take? For example, how to make a perfect knot on the rope, how to label certain equipment. We will inform them of those labels and train them on the theories behind them. Many equipment are imported from overseas, so we have to explain all the information. And they will have some experience sharing in the second half of the training. For the outdoor training, is there any specific sports activities that they have to do, like trekking through the waters or climbing mountains? Yes, of course, those included. The outdoor rescue is usually in a very dangerous environment, so those people must need to analyze the environment accurately, and on the rescue site, they have to know the exact position of the subjects. So in our training, we will ask them to evaluate the position, and we will evaluate their plans. If they are approved, then the team members will complete the rescue course. And then we will have some wrap-up meeting to organize the experience. What about the training methods outdoor? Could you give us one example about the outdoor training? As you know, it's a very rigid process. The environment may be very harsh. For example, in the valleys, the mountains, the caves, or waters, they need to use the rope for the rescue in those environments. And some environments are extreme, maybe beyond your imagination. And what the rescue team is doing may never be seen or experienced before by the normal people. So the common people have no idea about the theories. Now I'm seeing another team up on the rope. It seems like one team member has only 2 ropes, but they seem to carry a lot of equipment. 2 people share 1 rope, and everyone can have 2 other ropes, so in total there are 3. It's like having some backup. Why are they carrying such a heavy burden of equipment? Those devices and equipment are supplementary. And also they are not carrying the descending devices when they need to get down. Because when they are up at the summit, they will meet the security officers for more. If there is any accident when they are up in the air, how to rescue those people? We have a very perfect procedure. For example, one member had a stroke or falls out or faint, then we will have a controller. The controller will confirm about the situation, and then he gave instructions to the security officers above those team members. After confirmation, the security officer will let down those rescue members who are in problems. And for the others climbing on the same rope, they will be let down as well. Is there any device to let down those people? Or maybe changing the ropes for those people? Not really. We leave about half of the rope upward so that when accident happens, that second half will be used for letting down those rescue members when they are in accidents. We can have some look. Let's move on. Do you think those two are doing the same? They're climbing reasonably. It's quick. He's using the device to help him climb up. His spirit is helping him to adjust the rope. What is that? When they are climbing up, they cannot use the strength from their waist. So, if they find that they're relying on the power from the waist, they will have to adjust it, maybe the posture or maybe the rope. Usually we see one rescue member climbing on one rope for the rescue work. But in this competition, two people are working in pair. Why? There are two types of ropes. One type is only one single rope, which is what you just mentioned, usually seen. And the second type is combined of two ropes. The second rope will be the backup rope to guarantee the rescue member's security. So it's a very complete system and a mature system. What is the distance to the destination? And why did you choose this place for the competition? I heard last year such a competition was held in a free face of the mountain. There will be different competition items. This place is a permanent site for the rope rescue competition. So we choose this scenic spot with beautiful scenes. And we have perfect plan about this environment. Last year, we chose a precipice for the competition because it is suitable for the competition. And there is a bridge under construction back then. And it was in operation since February this year. After choosing the sites for 3 times, we found one slope. We believe that slope could be better promoted through our competition. It's also a good place for the competition, so that's why we come here. On the south slope of this mountain, it's very steep, I guess. If they truly have to climb that slope, is it going to be very challenging? For a professional climber, if they want to conquer such a steep slope, there is likelihood. But for a professional competition, we need to firstly consider the accessibility to the slope. Maybe we have to upgrade the devices of those rescue teams in order to conquer the steep slope, and we have a time limit for the competition. So we have to consider the feasibility and the timetable of the competition. After all, in our daily lives, those people have abundant opportunities to conquer the summits by themselves. It's no difficulty for them. So that's like a daily activity for those climbers, yes. Then what is really challenging for those climbers? In harsh environment, what type? Like very steep peaks, and when the soil or the stones are in poor conditions and compensation is unsuitable for the climbing. Maybe there are the landslide from the slope. So those are the harsh environment that may undermine their climbing process. I heard today there are teams from 13 countries. What is the level of those teams? And what is your criteria for choosing the teams? First of all, those people have to be lovers of ropes, and they must be familiar with the techniques of rope rescue, and they must be at international level. When we are screening the teams, we have a procedure. Some are through application and some are invited. In general, compared to domestic teams, those people are excellent. What about China's rope rescue situation? What is our current stage? I know China is a latecomer in rope rescue compared to EU and the US, which are more mature markets for the rope rescue, but what about China? If it is one single rope of rescue, now China is growing. We have a lot of rescue teams using single rope. But as to dual ropes, China is still in its infancy. We are still learning. And researchers have already had some studies about the rope rescue. I have learned some knowledge about rope rescue, and I learned that in general, the Chinese rescue teams are responding reactively. When there are accidents happening, they just went there. But overseas, they are more systematic. Could you introduce to us about the difference overseas? And which one is better? I am behind the systematic one. Systematic rescue could help you to have more targeted learning. In China, they are more like reacting to the accidents one by one. I'm not saying it's not good, but if it's just reacting to one single accident, you're gonna have very narrow knowledge, and there may be some bad habits. But if you have systematically learned the rescue techniques, you will find that what you learned before about that reactive methodology is not enough. Recently, is there any new case of systematic rescue methodology adopted in China? I think the case will be about the Chongqing firefighters. Those firefighters in Chongqing city are using their knowledge of rope rescue widely, and they have learned for a long time. For example, up to 6 or 7 years. Their grasp of rope climbing is very systematic. And when they are rescuing, there are a lot of well-known events or stories that I have heard. They have very good team leaders. And I heard it's a perfect team of firefighters because they have cooperated with each other for a very long time. They have gone to valleys and they use the technology of dual rope rescue. They have done perfectly for now. No accident happened for that team. So for a perfect response, how do you define it's perfect? Of course, there is no absolute perfect. It's a relative term. First of all, there must be no accidents for your team members. And for the injured rescued people, they must be protected or be transferred to a safe place. Then you have to guarantee the safety of the injured, affected people who are the targets of your rescue. For example, send them to the hospital timely. Of course, time matters for the rescue cause. If there is any knot on the rope which undermine the process of the rescue, then maybe the precious time is lost, right? It, of course, takes time to complete the rescue. When you want to rescue one person, you have to know that you're the rescuer, not the rescued. So whether it's you or your members, you cannot become the injured. You have to protect yourself first. When you guarantee your own safety and your team members' safety, then you can come to the rescue of others. For example, the knots must be handled. All the devices must be in place orderly. It's a long process. But if you go step by step, stringently, it's going to be finished very quickly. But if you don't have a clear head, then it takes longer. Even though you're less than 30 years old. But you have been in this business for many years, so you're an expert. I'm curious, what is your most impressive rescue event in your career? First of all, I'm not an expert. I'm an enthusiast of rescue work. I have some experience in the past years. And every one such experience is dangerous. That's why we are very meticulous about every job. Ropes are taken as our second life, and we will have thorough studies of the rope skills. To use a metaphor, we look at those metaphors as our infants. For one rescue job, they are very critical. They guarantee our security. Rescue is taking a long time. Every second matters. Behind those rescue teams, there are a lot of counterparts or colleagues who are supporting them. So it's actually about teamwork. one individual cannot complete a rescue work. So I guess you must have a very good relationship with your team. Yes, our team members can appear at the same time on one site. The security officer and the station chief, for example, on the site, can directly organize one team together once they are needed. We're in the same circle, and all the members have at least 2 to 3 years of working experience. So they are very familiar with this procedure. If you receive an instruction about rescue, what does your team feel? It's hard to tell. For me, I will instantly want to know all the information I need. I cannot lose my temper. And I cannot particularly grow mad or anxious towards the people who are informing me all the information. And also this process is very stringent and scientific. So we have to be very careful to guarantee safety of all members. Do you have some steps in your jobs? For the steps, if you're careful enough, or if you watch the live stream tomorrow, you will realize that we will instantly arrive at the spot and then get all our devices out, and the team leader will assign the tasks to the team members. With a perfect plan, the team leader will discuss the plan with all members. And after that, the team leader will dispatch the team members to the roles or the posts. And then they can start the work. Another question, so when you receive the order, isn't it the first thing to get started? Yes, we have to get started immediately, but we cannot grow excited. Because it's like commonplace for us. We cannot go blindly for the rescue. We have to have a systematic analysis first and come up with a plan. Do you have some impressive experience or some particular site that impressed you? We have a lot, and we have regrets. Sometimes the information is not fully known, and more enthusiasts are joining this workforce. But many of them do not have enough knowledge of all the techniques. So there may be some blind actions. And there are risk factors. We need experts to help those newcomers. It's a hard job. If they don't have systematic learning. When an accident happens, the experts will have to pay for those people. For example, carrying all the injured people to a safe place. What is the longest time taken in such a rescue task? The longest one is a simulated rescue. We stayed in a cave. It's 500 meters long, and it's very deep. But we didn't go to the deepest point. We simulated what to do when they were injured. And we took the injured people out from 500 meters below. And we safely carried those people above the ground. That's the longest I stayed in one single accident. I read the news that not long ago, a dozen of Thailand students were trapped in a cave, and there are many such cases of cave rescue overseas. So what is the difference of the Chinese cases with overseas ones? The professionals have gone through systematic learning overseas, but China is more like reactive. And everyone has different thinking pattern. Many rope lovers are arguing about different patterns. Of course, there are things we need to learn from overseas, but the Chinese ones have their own strengths. For example, they are usually very high quality. Now, what is the situation of this competition today? For the 13 teams, there have to be only 2 team members left at last. Yes. Those 2 will have to wait for the last round to complete this competition. Some teams have already completed all the activities, right? I think so. I cannot tell which team is this one, and which teams have completed and which haven't. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Zhou. Today we talked a lot about equipment, the on-site situation, the teams, and we have invited another expert about the site management, Wu Qi. Wu Qi, we are very curious about the equipment they used. Is there any specialties about those equipment? Could you find us some samples to introduce? It's safety belt. It wraps your whole body. It was initially designed for industries if they have to work when their hand in the air. The yellow color is about the belt surrounding your chest. And there are also belts to guarantee the safety, for example, at your hands. Those safety belts have been upgraded, right? Yes. There is also the safety device on their feet. So this is the sparkling one. That is the device. This one is to help them to go up, and it is connected directly with the belt around their chest. They can purely rely on their hand to climb up. That is because of the help of the accelerating device on their feet. So there are accelerating devices on their chest, their legs, and their feet, right? It depends. Some are only installed on their hands, some are only installed on their feet or on their chest. So you think with this device, it's more favorable for climbing up, right? Yes, they can go quicker. Traditionally, they climb up because of the history of exploring the caves. And now we have the legacy skills from exploring the caves in ancient times. And then the skills were used in oil field exploration offshore. And then they start to use the ropes. So that's the history. Is the current equipment system enough to support all different scales of rescue? This competition doesn't require those people to use the descending devices. You can adopt the descending device as well. Tomorrow, you will see more complex scenarios. Could you give us a preview about the devices to be used tomorrow? The descender, of course, is a very major device because we have to utilize the gravity for descending. That saves a lot of energy. If there is a problem when they're in their way, we can utilize the device. It's a very commonplace method. For all the devices, the labels seems to be in foreign languages. Does it mean that all the devices are imported? Yes. For rope rescue or mountain climbing, the history was all in Europe or the US, so most of the suppliers of equipment are from the West. Those people have very strong desire to explore nature. For example, one is called Ashen because it's in the Alps in Europe. Many suppliers are from Germany, Italy. What about China? If it's just about production, China can surely produce those equipment. We can, after all, produce a Shenzhou aircraft carrier. But as to those devices and equipment, we're lagging behind in terms of imagination. Could you share with us about the stories of the foreigners in exploring that impressed you? Today is September the 6th. There is one sports person in free solo. It's beyond your imagination to climb a 600 meter of cliff without any protection. So those people climbing the cliffs free solo is really inspiring and surprising. The climbers have to wear some tapes on their fingers. And some are also attaching the adhesive tape in order to stick more to the rocks. I know that outdoor rescue is a different concept. What is the special things about climbing and outdoor rescue? Climbing is a kind of sports. But rope rescue is more professional. It's only looking for rescue. It was designed for the industries initially. This is like the occupational safety guarantee for the industries. But for outdoor sports activities, it's more of a psychological satisfaction. That's the difference between the two concepts. I know that some professional rescue people are not just taking this as their jobs. Indeed, a lot of firefighters overseas are not only the rescue team members, but also climbers. For example, the Thailand story. The firefighters and doctors came into the cave to rescue the Thailand students. Those two groups of people are not professionals, but they are very proficient in the rescue work. In addition to outdoor rescue, can I say that the people who do the outdoor rescue and outdoor climbing are very similar? Or those two are two independent systems? There may be some overlapping. For that group of people who play both of them can do not just rescue, but also the outdoor sports. Those people are usually from the non-profit organizations. Very few are firefighters. Domestically, the professionals are usually firefighters. But for the non-profit ones, they're the enthusiasts. What about you? Do you do those outdoor training a lot, like rope rescue? I did. Many of those competitors today are my students. So for me, I'm a newcomer to this industry. If I want to learn, then what does it take for me? What is the hardest thing for me? Many training activities are relevant. For example, your handling of the ropes, the theories of physics, mathematics, and you have to have physical strength. You have to be able to endure long-distance running. You have to go through a lot of training. If you're a newbie, you can take professional courses like from the Industrial Association. If you pass the exam, you can get the certificate. It's just like getting your driving license. But after getting the license, you need long term of practices. For example, mountain climbing, cave rescue. Then you can practice more.